like it's raw analog.
Yeah.
It's of that generation where it's just special. Like you look at this thing and like, what is that? Even if you don't know, it's like, what is that? And if you ever get to hear that thing start up, the V10 in that thing is just, it's like heaven. It's heaven on earth.
Hey guys, this is Now, and welcome to the KodaCast. This is a podcast where we get to document our journey of our passion project, Kodawari Collective. On this podcast, it is my aim to share our story and the stories of people we meet along the way. In doing so, we hope to inspire our audience to cultivate a growth mindset and to build a life around their own passion. Today, our guest is Josh Wee. Josh has been with the Porsche brand for 11 years. He's been gold certified since 2018. And, I know Josh through mutual friends. And I've always heard good things about his work. And, I'm very passionate about learning more about the Porsche brand. So I knew I had to invite him on the podcast and pick his brain. So welcome, Josh.
Thanks, Now. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, everyone. Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, Josh actually, when we were kind of touching base last night, he's like, I'm gonna try and bring a cool car from work, and as soon as he said that, I was like, yes. Yeah. I was like, this is what all the hard work has been leading up to is being able to come in on a Saturday, work with an awesome team, invite cool people that we can learn from, and then experience different cars. And I was walking in to work today because I am so lucky to be able to live close to home and to be able to walk. And as soon as I turned the corner, I saw a chalk white Taycan Turbo S. So
Yeah.
I might cut this podcast short just so we can go out sooner to get a ride in that thing. But that's thanks for bringing that out. I can't wait to get a ride in that thing.
Well, it's my pleasure to kind of show off what's the future for Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yeah.
coming.
Oh yeah.
What's already here.
We're definitely going to be getting into that. I'm so excited to explore that with you. But I thought we could start with the car that you brought with you today.
Yeah.
Our team here at Kodawari Collective, we're very passionate about die-cast cars. We love what these cars represent, the story behind that, and you brought a very special die-cast with you today. So can you kind of talk about what's the story behind this model here?
So this is a 73 Carrera RS 2.7. It's not even so much what the car itself, but when my wife and I went to Stuttgart in 2018 to the Porsche Museum. So this is one of those models that you can only get at the Porsche Museum. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was a culmination of, years of hard work working for Porsche. Like I still had to pay my own way to go there to Germany to the museum, but it kind of just felt like a full circle moment that, being with this brand for so long, to kind of go back to where they kind of all started. And it was it's like a life moment for me, just being able to walk through the museum and kind of go through their gift shop and just take something back from there that just means a lot to me. And it's been a big part of my life. Like a third of my life has been kind of spent with Porsche as a brand and as a career. So, it was a big part of my life. And it's not even really so much about the car. It's just what it represents. Just as a big part of my life, just a big chunk of it.
That's really cool, man. The Porsche Museum is stationed in Stuttgart.
Yeah, Porsche Museum is stationed in Stuttgart, where they build also some of the cars, 911s, the Taycan itself. So yeah, that's where they produce the cars, and they also have this world-class museum. It's huge. You have to go. It's like every enthusiast's dream, just to see the heritage and the cars and what they have to offer. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, as I was kind of doing some research on you, I saw a few posts of you showcasing your trip to the museum, and that was one area I'm like I have to ask Josh about. So, tell me a little bit about this car. So I'm not very familiar. Like I wasn't exactly the kid that grew up obsessed about the Porsche brand. I was always more towards the side of Ferrari, Lamborghini. You know, my first diecast model was a Diablo, and those cars kind of really stood out to me more.
Yeah.
And as I think about progressing and getting older, I the Porsche brand never stood out to me. And I remember asking Sheena, which is Sherry's sister. You know, we were both very passionate about cars. Sheena, back then, you know, it was just something that we can always enjoy talking about. And I asked Sheena what her dream car would be. And she said, it's a 911 GT3 RS.
Yeah.
And back then, I didn't even know what that was. I really didn't. I remember seeing, like, driving up Boulevard, not Boulevard, driving up the 410, and I remember seeing, back then I didn't know what it was, but now that I reflect back, it was a 997, probably a .2, .1, I'm not too sure, but it was like a dark gray with like orange wheels, big wing, and I was like, holy, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, she was able to, like, boom, say, this is my dream car. And I started exploring more about, like, what this car was and what this brand. And I'm still learning to this day. So I know RS stands for Rennsport.
Yeah.
I believe. I could be wrong. But when, like, did it start with this model right here? Is that when the first RS came out? Do you know?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
But the first 911 really started in '63. That's when they first started.
Okay.
So these are the original, probably the original 911s. Full disclosure, these are all air-cooled cars.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, I'm pretty much a millennial. I'm a younger generation, so the generation that I know typically isn't these cars. There are people out there who are working on these air-cooleds, and they're kind of taking up the mantle from all, you know, people passing on the old guard. But yeah, these are from the original 911s. I have such an appreciation for them. I love the newer cars, to be honest. They're kind of my bread and butter.
Yeah.
But my appreciation for these air cooled is everything, because that's where they started. That's where Porsche started. And to kind of tack onto your story, for me as well, and growing up, Porsche was never really on my radar. I was import kind of guy. You know, growing up in that generation where, you know, it was the Fast and Furious generation. That's when we kind of grew up, and yeah, it was never really on my radar. I kind of fell into it, but I did have a picture of like a 996 911 on my wall. You know, not even like the most fancy 911, and that's a reality now. Like, I have a 996 911, so it's kind of that's another full circle thing. That's kind of cool to see. You know, as a kid, you kind of don't know what you're getting into, but then when you kind of realize and actualize that into real life, it's something else. So when you're dreaming that, if that's GT3 RS is your dream car too, man, you make it happen one day.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool because, like, you kind of start off early in life kind of just liking cars, and then as you grow and develop, you start associating with brands that are in line with your values, kind of in line with your passion and things that you really care about. So, you know, a lot of people start off with the tuner because we grew up in the Fast and Furious, you know, age.
Yeah.
And then as you get older and you get to explore and learn more, you really start developing a taste for what you really like. And that's what I've kind of, that's kind of the journey that I'm on right now. Is I started off with Hondas, and now I'm exploring Porsche. I don't know much about the air cooled, but this podcast is going to be a platform in which I can invite people, all the OGs, all the guys who grew up, who eat, sleep, and breathe these air cooled Porsches, who know the story, who know the origins of what this incredible brand and company, where it started, and to really learn from it.
Yeah, and you let me know. I can hook you up with some people that are definitely in line with that. So we'll have a conversation about that after.
That gets me just as excited as the idea of jumping into that second S, you know. But yeah, let's jump into the museum. What besides getting this beautiful model that is almost like a little milestone of your career in your life, what other things stood out to you about that experience, and why we should work towards as a team, Kodawari Collective, our team, to go there as a team and experience that.
Yeah. I think it's kind of a funny backstory. We took like a bus and a train literally all night from Prague to get to that Stuttgart museum. So being there was it was just a relief to even just get there after traveling like 12 hours overnight or whatever it was.
Oh, really?
So yeah, to me it was just, yeah, I guess for the years leading up to that, to actually getting there, it was um, just something I put in my mind, like as a goal. Like I want to go there, whether it be if they could send me for training there. Like I wasn't at that level yet, but one day if they could send me for training on one of the, a 918 or like a Carrera GT or something of that sorts. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But that was kind of always my goal in mind. Like I heard all these stories from technicians coming up when they would be sent to Germany and sent to the factory and they would get training there. And it was like, that is awesome. That is a goal that I want to attain. And unfortunately, I don't do that anymore, but I had to kind of make my own way there and kind of find my own way there. So it kind of reciprocates just, my journey in life. Just sometimes you just gotta figure out your own way there. And it just takes time and it takes hard work and it takes traveling 12 hours overnight on a bus and a train. But when you get there, it's just, sometimes there's no words for it. It's just an experience that you just have to take in with all the senses. So yeah, it was just fun. It was just fun to just see where the heritage was. And one day I'll go back.
Yeah, no, I really love that, Josh. Just hearing you, like the fact that they used to do that for maybe the previous generation, or I don't know did you know why they stopped sending? Was
I don't
it too
know.
expensive, or
Could be. And they started doing some training out of the US.
Okay.
So they moved that there. It's closer. They can get more people trained at one time. So yeah.
Gotcha. But yeah, I think an experience like that it's so transformative that even having an employee, someone who's part of the brand, experience what Porsche is all about. I could see it having such a huge impact when they go back home, when they go back to their workplace, really understanding what they're working towards every single day and why they're doing it, and have more meaning in their work when you experience and see the history.
Yeah. I think it's like, I can get desensitized to a lot of this when you see it day in and day out. So to experience something like that, it takes you out of that kind of the norm of it. If this is just work now, like, okay, sometimes we do work on cool cars and amazing cars, but it's still work. It's still work day to day. But things like that and experiences like that kind of make it all worth it.
You might, it's still work, but you might just have a little bit more pride in your work. You might just have a little bit more pep in your step because you're like, wow, like it's to think that this is like a company that started up back then, and now this is where they've become a global brand. There's just such a passionate community behind the Porsche brand, and I'm a representative of that brand.
Yeah.
I'm fixing these cars, and I'm helping build that story for the next generation, for the next the kids growing up who don't know nothing about Porsche yet, right?
So there's a stat, something like 70% of all Porsches ever made are still on the road.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
It's an exciting thing to do.
Yeah. I also really like the part of the story where you work didn't send you to the museum. A lot of people could easily be in the mindset of like, oh man, it sucks that they don't send us to the museum anymore. I wish they did, and be resentful or complain about that. But you actually took the mindset in of, you know what, if they don't send me there, I'm gonna make it a goal of mine go there myself. I'm gonna take my wife, and we're gonna travel by train for 12 hours and get there. And I'm gonna buy this model, and it's gonna be, I'm doing it for myself. And I think that's really, really dope, man. I think, taking, you know, control, taking ownership of your life and not expecting things to be done for you is a really good muscle to strengthen.
No, like it's all a blessing. Like all this has been a blessing straight from whatever day one. Right, we can get into the story after like how I kind of fell into Porsche, but all that when I look back on it, it's just a blessing. Then I just consider it that.
It's cool, right? To look back, and then you can kind of connect the dots and be like, oh man, like this led to that,
Yeah.
and this failure led to that, and it's hindsight's 2020, and I love exploring and getting into the story of what led you to where you've become, because I really want this platform, I really want the people listening, our audience listening, to connect with you and your story in hopes that they can kind of find similarities and then be inspired to chase after their own journey.
Yeah.
Right. So the museum, could you cover the entire museum in one day?
Yeah, you can cover in one day. They have factory tours. Sometimes they have special events. You can walk around the grounds. So pretty much that's all Porsche. Where the museum is, the factory is. You can see cars. I can't remember where it is, but you can actually see cars cross the assembly line through a bridge. It's really cool.
That's dope.
It's really cool.
When you were in Stuttgart, was that when the Luft 6?
Oh, that was that the same year?
Is that the same trip or a different trip?
Different trip.
Okay.
Different trip. That was actually in LA.
Oh, that was in LA.
Yeah, that was in LA.
Okay.
Actually, I think that was the same year. I think Luft came first.
Yeah.
Could be mistaken, but that's a full all air cooled show. That one was actually like the coolest one ever that I think, because it was on the Universal Studios backlot, so where they film all the movies, where they film all the TV shows.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, like all-time favorite movie. So you could actually stand where the clock tower is and in that grounds, and that was like, I keep talking about this, but like life-changing moment for me, because it's just like growing up watching those, and you just see a Porsche standing there right in front of the clock tower. It's like life complete moment. That was that was a highlight.
Was that a work trip? Or
No, that was all. That was all. Actually, that preceded a work trip. I think I actually got trained on 918, and then I flew to LA for that show. So I was in Atlanta and I flew to LA.
So you were doing training at the headquarters in Atlanta.
Correct.
And then you made the decision to fly to LA just for that show?
Met up with a friend just for the show. It's like a one-day show, but we stayed for the weekend. But it was definitely a highlight.
Because I saw in your Instagram, and I was gonna bring this up because I saw you take a picture with, I'm drawing a blank here, the main character from Back to the Future. What's the actor's name?
Oh, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
I saw that you took a picture with Michael J. Fox, and how happy you were in that picture. It truly, I'm like, man, I gotta ask Josh about Back to the Future, because there's something here. Yeah, this you must be a huge fan. But so when you were at that show, you didn't meet Michael J. Fox.
No.
That was probably a different.
Timelines are just all melding together now, but no, it was different. It was different.
I saw one post that you saw Jerry Seinfeld. At that event.
Yeah. So they have their own podcast, which is what's it? Spike's Car Radio. I don't know if you listen to that. It's a pretty good podcast. They're mostly Porsche guys, but yeah, saw him. Different celebrities there. He's obviously the Porsche guy, the guy in Porsche. So yeah, it was kind of cool. Like, you're starstruck when you see him, and you're like, do I say hi? Do I shout his name out? Do I say nothing? I chose to go say nothing. I'll give him his own privacy, but it was kind of cool just to snap a picture from far and be the paparazzi for a second.
Yeah, I think Jerry's been known to be a huge ambassador of the brand. You know,
Definitely.
I can't imagine uh, what his collection probably looks like. Who knows? Maybe that would be a goal one day, is to have Jerry on the podcast. That's where we're
Yeah.
aiming. We're shooting for the stars, all right? And we're gonna have
Let me
Jerry
know
on
when.
here.
Let me know when you have him on.
We're gonna have him here, and we're gonna talk cars, and hopefully, yeah, I'm putting that in the universe right now. That's cool, man. I love how you took a trip out to LA to experience a little bit of like Porsche culture in LA, and you got to see Jerry Seinfeld, and that's what it's all about, right? You got to put yourself in a position to have these doors open up
Yeah.
and to experience these cool things.
It's
Because
definitely a different world out there. Car culture in LA is like a different world. Just cruising down any street, seeing the cars that they have, and the weather and stuff that they have. It's a different world. So if you can go, I would like and go experience that. That's a trip.
yeah, I think our dream would be, as we build this platform and as we build the podcast out, would be potentially even traveling as a team to shows, maybe doing like an interview, a podcast live at the show, and meeting people and exploring different cultures, different car communities. That is what gets me out of bed every morning.
That's awesome.
That's the kind of shit that just, it would blow my mind if that could be my life, and that's what we're working towards. So you were in LA for that show. We'll have to go one day. Now that I've never heard of that show before, but now that
It travels around. I think they're in like in Indianapolis last, Indiana. So it travels. It travels.
yeah, I can tell by running through your Instagram that you love traveling. So I do as well, and if I can find an excuse to travel for work or for cars, then yeah, that's a no-brainer. The Porsche Experience Center in Atlanta. How was
That
918 training?
That was crazy. 918 is a different beast and animal in itself. I can't even, all the technology that goes into that, being able to like kind of take one apart and put them back together. That's an experience, man. Everything's an experience here. But
So they actually taught you how to take it apart and put it back together?
yeah.
Holy.
Yeah, that's exactly what that training is for. Like they essentially made, only a limited production of these cars that they have to train these technicians, because there's going to be a lot of guys who won't be able to do this, right? So they are kind of doing that with the Carrera GT. That car's been out since mid 2000s, 2004, 2005. So they have to train all these new technicians coming up, and the value of those cars are only going up. So you want people properly trained to work on them.
Yeah, I went to a car meet recently, hosted by the guys over at Collecting Cars, and I got to see a Carrera GT for the first time
Oh wow!
ever.
And
It was a yellow one,
yeah,
and I'm so glad I went to the show, because there were a few other dream cars. We did see a lot of older like model Porsches, so it was a wonderful morning. But just seeing the Carrera GT in person, I heard from a mutual friend of ours. I think you know him, Rob Magro.
yeah, no, Rob. If he's listening, hi Rob.
He's someone that I recently started building a friendship with, and we have a huge passion for Hondas and Porsches. He's actually working on the NSX right now, but Rob's a huge Porsche guy too.
Side note: when I started at Oakville, I worked next to Rob.
Oh really?
Yeah, when he was there. So
That's cool.
fun fact.
Rob was telling me about the Carrera GT. He was telling me how special that car is, and even compared to something like the 918, it was just different.
Yeah.
Like the amount of engineering, the attention to detail, how bespoke every single piece of hardware on that car, every panel, it was just next level.
Yeah, like it's raw analog.
Yeah.
It's of that generation where it's just special. Like you look at this thing and like, what is that? Even if you don't know, it's like, what is that? And if you ever get to hear that thing start up, the V10 in that thing is just, it's like heaven. It's heaven on earth to hear that thing start up.
I didn't hear it start up, but it was kind of just rumbling by.
That initial cold startup is probably one of the best things you can ever hear.
So
Google
yeah,
it.
you know, like we grew up in a Fast and Furious generation, and everyone knows about Paul Walker. He died in a Carrera GT.
Yeah.
So that's why that car has even more significance, alongside with another race car driver. So that's it's one of those cars that you have to respect.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never driven one at speed or anything other than moving it here and there, but I couldn't even imagine what that thing would be like on a racetrack. It's just how intense it would be.
Yeah. Naturally aspirated V10 in the mid-engine platform.
Yeah.
All the analog.
Yeah. Full carbon.
Yeah.
Carbon monocoque, everything. Everything's carbon.
That's a dream. All right, add that to the list. I grew up with a Carrera GT, a black one, in 1/18 scale, and that model. I think Anderson was playing around with it the other day. It's a little banged up now, but it's still there. But at that event, I got to see an LFA 2, which is another dream car of mine.
Very nice.
And another V10. You know, those two are kind of like touted as some pretty special, naturally aspirated V10s. But I got to hear the LFA rev
Yeah.
for the first time. Oh my God,
They got to bring that back. V10s.
that's the reason why I want an LC 500, because a little bit of that soul, you know how it is. Like these companies, these manufacturers, they put all this bleeding edge technology into like these statement pieces of engineering.
Yeah.
And then over time, they trickle it down a little bit. So, you know, everyone can't really afford to pay $800,000-$900,000 for an LFA right now. And I think, yeah, the car pricing is crazy, out of this world. But yeah, to get an experience similar to that, you know, the LC 500 is actually a really, really cool car that I'm interested in. We're gonna jump into a quick break, so we'll see you guys in a bit. All right, guys, we're back from the break. We left off talking about your experiences at the Atlanta headquarters.
Yeah.
So that's North America, Porsche's North America.
North American headquarters.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is that facility open to the public?
Yeah, it's fully open to public. You can walk in there. You can sign up to go take a ride in pretty much any Porsche from a GT3 RS to like a Cayenne or a Macan.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody can walk in there. They have like simulators. So I know you guys are into that, so you can do that. You can any racetrack. It's cool. It's like put it on the list. You have to go.
Okay. Yeah, because I've watched a few YouTube videos of Matt from Obsessed Garage, and they actually have like an event where they meet up at the headquarters. I don't know if it's the Atlanta one. I think it is. I'm pretty sure. And then they go as a convoy to Tail of the Dragon.
Oh yeah.
I think so. I could be wrong, but that sounds like something I would love to do.
You definitely have to put that on your list.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the man, this list is getting really long. This
It's all Porsche centered too.
List of dream cars and list of dream experiences around cars. Okay, all right, it's gonna be good. So, you know, so many different experiences to learn more about the brand, Atlanta headquarters, and then you have the museum in Stuttgart. I know you also participated in the ice experience in Quebec.
Yeah.
How was that?
That is amazing. Everybody has to do that. Like, when do you ever get to slide a Porsche around or do donuts and learn how to, power slide and stuff? And they teach you this and they let you do it and they encourage you to do it. So if you can and you have the chance to do that, even if you don't own a Porsche, you can still go. You just have to sign up and pay the money. But it's one of the coolest things you could ever do. To be able to slide whatever, 2-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, you grew up going to a parking lot and kind of
Yeah.
trying to do it yourself, and here you can actually, someone gives you the keys to a Porsche, and here, go slide this thing, and
Yeah.
I'll teach you how.
Oh,
Put that on your list too. Add that to the list. Just tell you everything you need to add to the list.
it's interesting because you would never imagine these cars being on snow, on ice, because as enthusiasts, as Canadians, you're always like, oh my god, like these cars have to be only driven in the summer.
Yeah.
They can only, as soon as any de-icing or salt hits the floor, you're running for the hills. And we forget sometimes that these cars were engineered to be able to perform in all types of weather.
They test these things all in all weathers, all climates, like any situation, to see what comes up, right? And what happens. They've been doing it a while, so I think they kind of know what they're doing. But yeah, I get that question a lot. Like, oh, do you have anything to do in the winter? Because nobody drives these cars. But we have SUVs, we have crossovers, but even the 911s, like the ones with all-wheel drive, they're amazing in the snow.
Yeah, no,
They're amazing.
The 911 is touted as the best all-around daily, sports car, supercar, and I think for a good reason. So, I love seeing 911s driving out and about in the winter.
Yeah.
And I think those who know me well know that I love enjoying these cars, and I don't like just enjoying them in the winter, especially as Canadians. 6-7 months out of the year is cold. Are you only going to enjoy cars for like 5-6 months?
No.
If you really love cars, no. You could be able, learn how to drive them in the winter and not be so caught up in the fact that there's going to be some salt on the car.
Yeah. We've actually had a few clients like put winter tires on their GT3. Like they winter drive a GT3. I think they're crazy, but it's awesome. It's like that all power to you. If you want to drive this GT3 in the wintertime, awesome. Like and it's doable.
So how many days was this event?
There's different levels to it. You kind of have to work your way up. It's usually a 1 to 2 day to start, and then there's bespoke events where you can essentially pay Porsche for a package that is tailored to what you want. Those are kind of the high rollers and the high ballers, but even just the 1 day basic experience is pretty cool in itself. But if you can get like a 1 to 2 day, or at least a 2 day, it's I'd say that's kind of the sweet spot. You actually get pretty tired. It's a lot to take in, and with all like the adrenaline, it's tiring, but it's definitely worth it.
Okay. All right, add it to the list. By the end of this podcast, the list is going to be pretty astronomical.
You gotta have a list of like on a wall, just things that you want to accomplish.
I know we do. We have quite a few events that we want to experience as a team. SEMA being one of them. Tokyo Auto Salon. There's the Nürburgring Toy Fair that they host at the ring, showcasing like die-cast car models. That would be a dream, maybe going to like a Hot Wheels production facility, but just really getting a taste for all the different aspects and communities all around the world of car culture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got 3 more to add to that list so far. Experiencing these cars in snow, and I don't know how to do donuts myself. And I would love to have someone, having someone kind of teach you, and just having the right environment to learn is really, really important.
Yeah, and all these guys that usually teach you are ex or current race car drivers, cup drivers, karting champions. So they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. You're in good hands.
Yeah. Well, we've been exploring how to host events and stuff like that. So going out to these kind of events would really allow for me to learn what it means to host a proper event, especially when it comes to enjoying these cars in different conditions.
Yeah.
But set and setting is so important. Having someone there to instruct you just is everything.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little biased, obviously, I work for Porsche, but Porsche, I find their events are always top notch, whether it be a GT3 Cup event at Mosport or even the Honda Indy. Porsche's booth is always pretty extensive and pretty cool. And it's kind of like the exclusive one you want to get into. So yeah, it's definitely a bar to set with Porsche. They've definitely set a bar.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're going out to these types of events, if the brand is inspiring you to do your best, so like the team behind hosting the events, they probably want to pay it forward. They want to to inspire that kid who maybe happens to walk by the booth and be like, oh, you know, I've always been kind of gravitating towards Ferrari and Lamborghini, but oh, what's this? What's
Yeah.
this Porsche brand all about, right?
That's why we always encourage, like, when people come in, if they bring their kids to the dealership, get a little model car, like how it started with you, and that's kind of how it starts. Like you start by looking at the model, and then whoa, it's sitting right there. There's a GT3 RS sitting right there in the showroom, and it's just something you don't forget.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I talk about that with the team, and I have that vision of what Kodawari could be. Is like, you know, we want to create the ultimate detailing destination for enthusiasts. And when Dad comes here and he gets his car taken care of, and he happens to be with his son, we have like diecast for sale. You know, we might have like we're our dream is to have like those Japanese vending machines that, you know, you can play with your kid, or they can come and try and win like the car models or all that kind of stuff, but bringing a little bit of that fun Japanese
That's
culture
awesome.
into making our business, our shop here, like a destination.
Yeah.
You know, like people want to come here to not only see our builds, but potentially, you know, have fun, buy a model, you know, learn a little thing or two, and just be a part of the community, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, we touched on like these really cool experiences that have kind of like added layers to your passion for the brand and your commitment to, you know, your craft as a technician. But let's let's rewind, and I want to hear the story of how you even got to here.
Yeah. Okay. So I originally started for Porsche at downtown Porsche in downtown Toronto. So we kind of backtrack it and backtrack it. I originally just got into automotive in high school, took co-ops, did placements. That's where I got my first job, small independent import domestic shop. So how it kind of worked out is that it closed down in like 2008. But preceding that, I went to trade school. So if there's people who not from Canada, we have mandatory trade school for your apprenticeship, leading up to a certificate of qualification that you need to take an exam. So then you become a licensed technician. So in college, I met Nate at Apex Motoring. So shout out to Nate. And that actually started off this whole thing. When that place closed down, stayed friends with Nate, and Nate put me in touch with Billy at Tires 23. So shout out to Billy, Tires 23. I just got a job there temporarily, changing tires, doing what I could do just to make a living. And eventually, I met Sean Branch, and he was working at Downtown Porsche, just in their detail wash and car department. And initially, I'm like, I don't really want to wash cars. I can work on cars, but Nate actually is like, just take the job, just get a foot in the door, and that was probably the best advice that he could give, and I did that. So I guess in the eye of it, it looked like I'm taking a step back, but to take that job, it got me in the door to Porsche, which I probably would never have made it into if I just applied normally. So when I got there, I worked my ass off. I just hustled, did the best that I could do washing cars, detailing cars, until I could prove to them, hey, I work on cars too, you know. And when the time came, spot opened up, I was able to move up into apprentice technician role. So it's kind of crazy to look back how one event can kind of change your life, and meeting and talking to one person kind of set this all up for the future to this point right now.
Yeah, one decision to kind of put your ego to the side and be like, you know what, I want to work towards becoming a tech, and if it means washing cars for 3 years, if you have the humility to do that, then doors open up for you.
Yeah, and it's hard work, And I think you guys here know that, at Kodawari know that. It's just, you got to put in the work. And sometimes you don't always see the end of it and what you're trying to trying to hit your goal. But it's definitely worth it if you can put in the time and the effort.
Yeah, I've just gotten to appreciate what it means to do something very simple very well, and taking pride in that.
Yeah.
So you might not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you can just come into work with the mindset of, you know what, I'm gonna do my best today. I'm gonna give it my full attention. And you're gonna have some bad days, you're gonna have some good days, but over time, if you stick with that mindset, people will take notice.
Yeah.
Your bosses, your superiors, your mentors will notice, and you will be rewarded for that. So
I definitely agree, and that's just how I approach it kind of every day. It doesn't change for me. It's just being detailed and being organized, and kind of just having the best attention to detail is the best thing to work on these cars that I find. It's a must. It's like the first thing that you need to have.
Yeah, we've been really trying to figure out how to improve our process and our execution on a lot of things in terms of our service content. It really takes a lot of focus on the little details. Like what is your workflow like what does your planning look like? How does that kind of all work together to kind of give you the end result of something like that you're proud of?
Yeah.
So yeah, big shout outs to Billy Lau, one of the owners at Tires 23. As I start hearing more stories about people in the community, you hear about names that kind of pop up, and Billy's always been a business owner who has facilitated help to young guys like me and you, and we got into our passion with cars with Eddie, with Tony, with Nate, and all of them, because Billy kind of was kind enough to let us be around.
Yeah.
Just being around and experiencing a little bit of his passion, right? So I've been planning to do a podcast with Billy. It's in the works, but I'm super excited for that, because from the outside looking in, you're just like, oh, he's just an entrepreneur that owns a tire shop. But the passion for Billy runs deep, man.
Yeah.
It's oh man, I can't wait to explore that with him.
But just talk to you about cars.
Yeah.
Do circles around you about cars.
Yeah, shout outs to Billy and Nate. Yeah, thank you for always sharing your passion and helping those around you. Yeah, so you got your foot in the door. You got a chance to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you had not had the humility to be like, oh, I don't want to wash cars, then no one would have seen your work ethic. No one would have seen the potential in you. And what did how was the apprenticeship like?
Yeah, so at that point I just had to humble myself and just be like, let's just do this for the time being until I can move up. So I kept plugging away until they let me work on cars, until I could write my license exam and kind of move up on the chain. And the opportunity in 2015 came up that I could move to Porsche Centre of Oakville. And so I took that leap and just kept going. And with Porsche, they have this thing called ZPT. I cannot pronounce the German name, so I'm not even going to try. But basically, it starts with a bronze level technician, which incorporates doing practical courses that, like I was saying, they send you out for. Progressing to a silver certified technician, which is the same, and usually a practical test where they kind of test you on your skills. And then further than that is the gold level, which is the final level where, again, more courses, but also a final practical exam where they really test your skills and how to problem solve and find problems. So over time, I've progressed to that level to be a gold certified technician. I think it's a goal that every Porsche technician wants to achieve, because it's something that Porsche has provided to you that you can attain, that anybody who joins as a technician can attain. And it's it's a journey. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort, but in the end, it's worthwhile to kind of say that, hey, it's kind of cool to say, hey, I'm a Porsche certified gold technician. Like, you're
Is there anything above gold?
no, not really.
Because that wouldn't.
There's classic stuff that you can do, a classic technician program that they have now, but that's kind of the pinnacle. But you still keep layering on different courses and new model cars that come out.
That's cool. So are the guys who are certified in gold, are they the only ones allowed to work on cars like the 918s and like?
More or less, yes. More so just because they have the trust. The business has the trust that they've taken the time to achieve this, and they can be trusted with these cars and the training. You can't take a lot of those courses like 918, Carrera GT without previous trainings, smaller trainings preceding that, leading up to that.
So through all these years, what do you attribute, like, how important is the culture at work? The people around you, your mentors. I'm sure you've had many. Like we talked about you working beside Rob Magro.
Yeah, definitely. It's like any workplace. You spend as much more time there than sometimes at home. So the people you work with and the climate and the culture you work in is definitely important. So I think the climate at where I am right now, they've built that up as a good climate to work in, surrounded by a good set of guys, group of guys who want to be there and want to learn and kind of further their careers and how they kind of want to fit into this whole business and attaining that gold certification one day. But definitely mentors is key. More so I was trained from guys at downtown who were trained up in the 90s, late 80s. So they kind of have that old school work ethic mentality, and being a kid of immigrant parents, that's kind of jives well with me because that's all I know. It's just work. And being a son of Asian parents, that's kind of what is always broadcast to you, like work hard, put your family first, and of those sorts. So yeah, kind of just growing up and learning that, just work hard. I don't know how to explain it. It's just ingrained in me.
Yeah, that's what makes us unique. Is we're first or second generation Canadians, and our parents immigrated over here, and they had to most times start with nothing.
Yeah.
And that means that you have to bust your ass, and no one's gonna give you anything, and you gotta work for it. So it's as I look back at my life, it's really cool to see how much of who they are is just you absorb it.
Yeah.
And it becomes a part of you, whether you realize it or not.
No, yeah.
And generally, you're through your teenage years, through those rebellious years, you're like, I'm nothing like my parents. You're just like, I hate them. They're so strict, and like they only let me game for like 10 hours a day where I want to play 14. That kind of stuff, and you don't really get to appreciate it then. But as with most things in life, things come full circle. And then once you're a little bit older and you're a little bit wiser, and you've fallen flat on your face a couple times, and you've experienced a bit more of what life has to offer, you realize how much of what they were doing day in, day out. Like when your dad comes home after a hard day's work, and he still has the discipline to keep the house clean.
Yeah.
Or when mom is very meticulous about discipline and all that kind of stuff.
Oh God, right? I know so much. Like now that I see it, like I have a 7-month-old, and every day I come home, I picture my dad coming home now, just how tired he was,
Yeah.
and me just being like annoying or something, and like, man, it's come back to haunt me.
Yeah. No, it's crazy because when my parents came over, there were 3 of us. And They didn't know a lick of English, and they had to just figure it out. And through that struggle, you you grow, you get stronger. Life doesn't get easier, you get better. And because they had to get better to make things work, with 3 kids and in a new country, I can't even imagine the challenges that they face.
No, I can't even imagine.
In terms of like discrimination, in terms of just not knowing the language and trying to navigate coworkers and relationships like that, it blows my mind. So that kind of perspective really gets me going and gives me perspective of the challenges that I face day to day. I'm like, man, yeah, I'm kind of sweating stuff that is not really that important.
Yeah, they had bigger issues to deal with.
Yeah. So like we every generation has their own struggles. We have our own. They had their own. But yeah, having kind of looking back in history or looking back at your parents, it really, you're able to pull a lot of really cool things.
It kind of grounds you.
Yeah. That's the big one. But yeah, that was let me see. We've gone to kind of your experiences through getting to gold. What are your, where's your head at now? Do you see yourself continuing on with the brand? Do you see yourself exploring something on your own? I know you recently, you're a new father.
Yeah.
And how has that shifted your?
Yeah. It definitely changes you, and I think you know that too. Being a father, it's just I love work, I love the brand, I love the business, but at the end of the day, it's still like I just want to get home to that little one, and I think that's what it's all about. We can have our passions, we can have that, but once she was born, it kind of just everything prioritized differently, and priorities changed. But still, no, I love this brand, I love this company. I think they still have a lot to grow, and Porsche has grown exponentially in the last 5-10 years. It's correct. Like, it's insane how much they've grown, and how worldwide they really are. So no, I'm not going anywhere. I love this brand. I'm kind of looking forward to what the future has. Obviously, the Taycan is kind of the direction that they're heading, but it's kind of interesting to see will we see an electric 911 like. That's their soul. The 911 is Porsche's soul. It's everything to them. So will they do that? I don't know. To me, I hope they don't. I hope that thing stays a gas guzzling engine. I hope it stays pure like that. But it's always changed a lot since '63 anyway. So it's a possibility. But I think the future is bright. There's a lot to explore. And they're due for a supercar, so we'll see what comes down the pipeline.
Yeah, I think when you have this much passion behind the brand, the team, and the enthusiast community as a whole, it's crazy to see how much the Porsche brand has grown. And it's guys like me who knew nothing about Porsche, and now you go to a meet and there are like 15 GT4s, and there are like 911s out the wazoo everywhere.
Yeah.
So, which actually brought me to a good reminder of like talking about these cars. What do you get to appreciate about them? But why, like working on them, taking them apart, that the enthusiasts, the owners don't normally see, like all the intricacies, all the beautiful like engineering that goes into it. Are there any things that stick out to you?
Yeah, what's something new? I think something's that kind of cool is like a 992, a new generation 911. You'll never see it, but if you look underneath, under the like exhaust, they've stamped Porsche, and it just looks really cool. I'll send a picture of it one day. But it's just something like that, just small little details that kind of Porsche throws in there. And in terms of the engineering, it's German engineering. I think we can all. It's synonymous. German and engineering, complicated, and as a technician, it can be daunting and kind of hair pulling. but at the end of the day, it's a work of art, the things that they build and just how they build things. But coming from the work side of it, that people don't see, it's these cars are complicated. They have so many electrical components and control units now. A lot of them are starting to be connected, so like constantly connected to the internet. It's difficult. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's to be a technician now is much different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. There's so much technology in it now. You have to have training, or you have to have that kind of ability to pivot, work on the fly, and learn new things because things change. Yeah, things change like in a blink of an eye.
Yeah. How long did you ever hit that wall in terms of developing your skill, developing your ability to problem solve, where you're like, it's just really hard. Like you couldn't figure out certain problems, and did you ever get to that point?
I'm sure I have gotten to that point before. I think I've gotten better at managing it. Seeking out help is probably the first thing. Don't be you tackle a problem as best as you can, but don't be afraid to ask for help, and surround yourself with people who want to build you up, that want to actually support you. You can have people who, will give you a short answer but not kind of assist you, and that's fine. That's what they want to do. But yeah, the more you surround yourself with people who want to kind of teach you and show you, you'll be so much better off. But hitting a wall, I think it's just I've learned to kind of know my abilities, push through, learn as much as I can, but then also, yeah, seek out that help if you need it. Like it's there's nothing wrong with seeking out some help and assistance.
Yeah, it's as when you're kind of starting out your career and you're kind of young and gung ho, it's easy to you know easy to kind of get caught up in your own like ego. You're like, oh, I know,
Yeah.
I'm young, I'm capable, I'm indestructible, I can work 17 hours a day, I know everything.
Yeah.
But having the presence of mind to know when you are at
Yeah.
you met your match and asking for help, that's definitely something that I'm trying to learn to do more of. Just with building Kodawari, I'm like, the more you learn, the more you understand that you don't know diddly.
Yeah.
There's just so much knowledge out there, and that you just got to be like, okay, I don't know this. I'm in over my head. Who can I ask for help? And who has the mindset of wanting to help younger,
Yeah.
or people who are hungry for knowledge to learn.
Yeah. So when I'm training kind of new technicians and new apprentices, I tell them that is just, you got to start simple. You always have to start at the most basics. If it's an electrical problem, it's like, is there power to it? Did you check a fuse? Like that is the most basic thing that anyone will ever teach you. If it's an electrical component, is there power to it? Is the fuse blown? And time again, it happens where like, no, oh, I didn't check that. And that's kind of where you direct people and kind of manage them as the role that I'm in now, to kind of just nudge them in the right direction sometimes. That I want them to figure out things on their own, to kind of come to their own, but sometimes they need that little nudge and a little guidance. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm learning.
that's a big thing that actually really resonates with me. Is I'm constantly trying to explore what it means to be a leader. I'm very passionate about exploring what it means to be a good parent, and the principles that kind of seem to be popping back up again are, you don't want to do it for them. You don't want to, if they're struggling, you don't want to be like, okay, here, how do I tie my shoe? Oh, let me here come in and do it for you.
Yeah.
No, you're like, you let them struggle, you let them fail, and then you kind of ask questions and help them get to the answer themselves. Because if you do that, then they build confidence in their ability, instead of you sweeping in and being like, oh, here's the answer.
Yeah. So that's the thing I'm learning too, because I can very easily like being around in this brand, I can sweep in and say, this is the problem. So I'll kind of nudge people in that direction, but sometimes I don't want to just flat out tell them.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily all about finding what the answer is. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's kind of the journey and the process of learning how to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. The guys who are under your watch, they're lucky, man. I think you have a lot to teach, and you know your I think a bit of Asian culture is to really take care of those around you, and to share knowledge, and to it's just kind of ingrained in us. That's how our parents raised us, right? So that's dope. Um, let's what are some best practices that you would kind of recommend to people new to the brand or new to Porsche vehicles, or just in cars in general from your years of experience?
This sounds mean, but if it's new car, read the owner's manual. There's so much you can learn from that. I'm not going to say that.
I've never read an owner's manual.
Probably because you haven't had the newer cars. There's so much technology. It's
Okay.
so hard. Like, it's a novel. But no, that's kind of like a thing that we wish if all customers could read their owner's manual.
Okay. You know what's cool? Like, what if these dealerships, instead of you just coming, okay, like we just got a new MDX. We just come, sign some papers. Here's the keys. You get like a 15-minute explanation. Done. What if these dealerships and these manufacturers actually had an experience where you come in, you buy the car, you spend a whole day. I know it might have more upfront costs.
Yep.
But it might save you more headaches in the long run. It might save like all these expensive warranty repairs because the customer didn't know how to do this and stuff like that.
Definitely, we see that all the time. That a customer has a complaint where they can't save a seat setting because sometimes it's complicated. So, go through the owner's manual, kind of do a printout of them, show them how. But definitely, we have this thing called when they get delivered, we have these people called Porsche Pros. They go through the cars with the customers. Obviously, it's not a whole day experience, but they take an hour, maybe a little more, to kind of show them at least the most basic tips and tricks with the vehicle, just to kind of get them going.
Yeah.
But the onus is still on an owner to kind of figure everything out. But to be honest, I don't even think a day it takes time to learn a new car.
It's true, right? Like, 'cause you buy a new washing machine, they can give you the owner's manual, but if you don't actually take time to review how to maintain the washing machine, I don't care if it's a $20,000 washing machine, you're gonna break it in a year. And the same kind of principles apply to these cars, right? You're buying these expensive vehicles. If you as the owner don't take the time to educate yourself, then all the engineering, all the workmanship in the world will not save this thing from like deteriorating.
Yeah, and I just play around with things in the car. That's my the biggest thing I'll stress. Like, it's almost like a cell phone. Like, if you go through your settings and you're kind of looking for something that you can't find, you just got to kind of go through every menu. And that's what I suggest on these newer cars like that Taycan. Go through all the menus, see what's in there. Like, you're not gonna break it. Just click things, see what happens.
Okay. We're gonna start clicking things in there afterwards, right? Okay, those are some really good points, man. We're gonna jump into a break, and we'll be back. All right, guys, we are back. We left off talking about best practices when buying these cars, when owning these cars. Read your owner's manuals. All right, explore, press some buttons, have fun with it, because we recently got an MDX, and we haven't read the owner's manual, so
Not many people do.
Some homework assignment for myself and Sherry. But yeah, let's. What about for electrical vehicles? Like, that's obviously where the industry is going. That's the future of vehicles. You brought a Turbo S Taycan. What do owners need to know about these newer electric cars, and are they hard to work on and service?
It's definitely different. And in terms of service, service is obviously different. There's no combustion engine to service, but it's now a different kind of game for service. There's so much, like, let's say, regeneration, brake services and brake fluid changes are kind of the thing now. So there's intervals for that where you have to replace the brakes right all out. The regen in these cars are so good now. I think for this Taycan, it doesn't actually use the hydraulic brakes until you're about like maybe 10% or lower into that pedal. So a lot of that braking and slowing down is just purely the electric motor for regen for the battery.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy, like where we're headed and kind of where we are, because it's only going to get better, and it's exciting. It's a different world, and it's a different world for technicians. Just how to work on these cars, you have to be high voltage trained, because this Taycan works off 800 volt architecture at the highest, so it can be dangerous. There's definitely a danger aspect to it, but you get trained on it.
Yeah.
And trained how to handle things and shut things down. So there is support. There is support for it.
So the regeneration, so the principles behind that is that you're using the electric motor to
Recuperate.
during the braking.
Yeah. So it's using that momentum of the vehicle
Yeah.
to slow down the vehicle itself, and the electric motors kind of recoup that and send it onto the battery.
Does that mean that you don't use your physical pads and rotors as much,
Exactly.
and that means that they last longer?
Exactly. Even hybrid vehicles, they kind of do the same concept, just not to the I'd say more extreme degree of this electric vehicle. So yeah, they definitely do last longer. So different maintenance items, tires are usually the same. Tire technology has progressed in leaps and bounds. Low rolling resistance tires, like how most of these electric cars come now. All Porsche tires have N ratings, so they're developed by Porsche specifically for the Porsche. Obviously, a different tire can work, but we call them, they're N rated. So they are specifically made by Porsche for Porsche.
So what does the N stand for?
I don't know. I think it's just their signification for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Different manufacturers have different lettering for
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. You know, the with these electric vehicles, I guess one silver lining that you can kind of look at that, because I know people are always griping about electrification. You know, you lose a soul and stuff like that. I think it's just, man, people don't like change. That's cool. That's a part of being human. At the end of the day, though, you look at music, how music used to be made back in the day. You know, you have instruments and there was just a different way of making music. And now you look at the modern day, how music is made. It's more electric, and there's so much auto tune and everything mixed up, and it's still music. It's different, of course, but you kind of grow to appreciate it. And I think that kind of applies for cars too. You know, the ICE motor is going to be making a change. You know, when you think about hybrid systems where now these motors can become so efficient that I know like the Koenigsegg Regera, I'm probably butchering that name, but it's got a 3-cylinder turbo motor making 600 horsepower. So that motor is giving you the audible sensation.
Yeah.
It's so efficient that it's carbon neutral. And then it's got like three electric motors.
Yeah.
And it adds up to like a ridiculous 1,700 horsepower.
Yeah, once
But
you calculate it.
that's bleeding edge. And then eventually some of that will kind of trickle down. So when you start looking at cars like the Yaris GR in Europe and Asia, it's a 3-cylinder motor. It's got a lot of power.
Yeah.
Can you imagine combining that with some electric motors and kind of fusing those two so that these cars are, you know, hitting emission qualifications, and you still have that smell, visceral experience of a ICE motor, but in conjunction with new tech.
Yeah, I think that's manufacturers are kind of mandated to do this now.
Yeah.
So if the more kind of carbon neutral they are, electrification they go, they can still make cars like with ICE engines. So I think it's getting tougher on them to do, but it's definitely still a big part of their market.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see those kind of cars becoming like just like an enthusiast car. You know, the only people who are very enthusiast about like getting into a car and enjoying the experience will have those like that hybrid mix. But I think every other car will be just full electric.
Yeah, that looks like the way they're kind of heading. The Macan will do that. The crossover that we have, I've heard rumors of the Cayman
Yeah,
potentially being electric.
yeah,
So they're definitely progressing in that direction.
that's cool. I saw like a Taycan Gran Turismo for the first time.
Oh yeah,
That thing's badass.
yeah,
I love wagons, and
yeah.
it was at the
Same.
same meet that we saw the Carrera GT.
Yeah.
But it pulled up, and I was like, "Holy!"
Oh,
this
the
thing is
Cross Turismo.
sorry, the Cross
Yeah,
Turismo.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. I was trying to see if I could maybe bring it by, but we got this one. But no, I love wagons too. Uh, I wish we would have more here in North America. It's just not. It doesn't sell big here, not as much as in Europe.
Oh, it's growing. I think it's gonna pick up some steam because guys like us, family guys who love cars, you want practicality. You know, shove all the kids in, all the equipment, and still be able to go to the Nürburgring, right? Like, what more could you want?
No, I agree. I 100% agree. I'm on that train.
So, yeah, that's why they brought the Audi brought the RS6
Yeah.
to North America. And just seeing all these cool performance wagons, it's we'll take everything that we can get. How was you told me that you PDI'd the first Speedster and GT2 RS at your workplace. How was
Oh yeah,
that?
yeah. PDRs are always fun. It's
Yeah.
kind of like your own unboxing video. You get to do all the peels if that's what the customer wants. They can request to leave it on. Most people we have to pull them off because checking paint, make sure nothing's damaged when it comes from obviously comes on a container ship from Germany. So and then it gets sent on a truck to the dealership. So we got to inspect it. We got to look it over, make sure nothing's damaged. That when it goes out to the customer, it's 100%. But definitely those peeling off like the wraps on a PDI is probably the most satisfying thing you can do, especially when it's on like a $400,000 or $500,000 car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was kind of like looking through Josh's Instagram, and he's got a highlight section all on PDI peels, and I just found it hilarious. I'm like, I have to ask Josh about this because it's really cool to, like you said, you work in a place where you're surrounded by all these nice cars and stuff like that. Taking a moment to appreciate the beauty of everything you see day to day,
Yeah.
and
Kind of enjoy the little things.
yeah,
It's the little
this freaking
things.
car comes like wrapped. Like when you get a new phone, like unboxing it, a new laptop, unboxing this tech. It's a lot of the fun, a lot of the experience is unboxing it.
Yeah. We recently just did the 992 GT3. I didn't do it. It didn't have much wraps on that one, so I couldn't really do a video.
Yeah.
But it's just the same. It's almost like, obviously it's not mine, but kind of turning it on for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Taking it out for the first time. It's an experience that it never gets old.
What color was it?
That was GT Silver.
GT
Yeah,
silver.
2 GT Silver ones. One manual, one PDK.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in person yet. So
It's different when you see it in person. I think a lot of people don't like the aggressive kind of hood nostrils it has, but
Yeah.
when you see it in person, it's not 2D. It's like in your face. I don't know. I like it.
yeah, these cars just hit different when they're in person. You can't. There's no replacing that. So I'll have to. I can't wait to see the the 992 GT3 in person. They're coming out with the touring, right? So that should be really cool. Most exciting news recently with enthusiast vehicles is the GT4
Oh
RS.
yeah. Just did lapping the Nürburgring, just over 7 minutes, something like that. Which is crazy.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. A goal of ours are, we have a list of destinations that we want to go to.
Yeah.
We have a list of dream cars, and we also have a list of dream guests. And Andreas Porninger is one of them. I would love. It would be a dream to have him on here because it's incredible to see what he's done
Yeah.
with the GT department to transform the brand.
Oh yeah. Following his Instagram, it's like this is crazy.
Yeah.
The things that he gets to do.
Yeah, it's so inspiring to see what your life could become if you chase after passion and then you do good work.
Yeah.
And he comes through as such a chill, like genuinely cool car enthusiast. He just loves it and he loves sharing about it, and he loves boats, and yeah, man, just someone that is really inspiring. And yeah, our goal is to have him on the podcast one day. So if anyone out there knows AP and can make it happen, we'd be
Again, let me know when you have him on. I'd like to sit in.
see, our goal is to eventually, yeah, like go out to these big events, and then potentially, if we have an audience, go to these events and maybe something like the Geneva Auto Show. Andreas is there.
Yeah.
We can ask Andreas, hey, can we do a live podcast with you right there? And
That'd be awesome.
it's you got to put in the work, the legwork to even have these opportunities present themselves, right? So yeah, we're working on that. Yeah, the Speedster, and the GT2 RS, that must have been
Yeah, so those are probably, I feel like, not the end of an era, but I don't know if they'll be able to make cars like that anymore. Just the GT2 RS, yeah, GT2 RS is just insane. It's amazing. If I could own one, that's probably one of the top on my list if I could own one. But yeah, PDIing those cars is pretty fun. The Speedster, like whenever you see like a GT convertible, basically, right? So those things, whenever you get a chance to see them, they don't disappoint. They never disappoint.
There was I'm not fluent with the paint code names of Porsches. But there was like a light blue one at Porsche Oakville.
A Speedster?
Speedster.
What is it? I know there's so many colors, PTS colors, like Mexico blue. Maybe Mexico blue? I don't remember anymore.
Convertible with that motor. Oh man, I can't even. Add that to the list, guys. Add that to the list. GT2 RS. Add that to the list. All PTS, please. We're gonna.
But if ever you're come by the dealership. I think we still got a few sitting there. We got a few GT3 RSs in right now.
Yo, you're gonna see me all the time now. I'm just gonna be. The team here is gonna be like, yo, where did that go? And then they see on the Instagram my stories like, yo, I'm in the Speedster with Josh.
You're always welcome, man.
Cool, man. I'm going to be a big advocate of the Porsche brand and building relationships with a team and a place that really has a mindset of doing things the right way is something that really interests me. So, I'm very excited for the partnership, not only with yourself, but with anyone who's part of the Porsche brand who wants to continue to kind of share this passion and do things the way we would like to see it done. But yeah, man, I really think it's cool that you can find like the little bits of beauty inside everyday life, whether it's PDI peels, enjoying that. We were working at Aerodose Acura for a bit, so we got to peel some stickers off too. Not as cool as GT3 RS, but hey, it was pretty cool. I think I enjoyed that as well. Yeah, Josh, this has been a really wonderful conversation, and I want to end it off with a few just quick questions.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be it. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So number one, what is one of the best and worthwhile investments you've ever made? It could be a tool, a piece of equipment, a book, an investment in something that has really you've found like you've gained a lot of.
My God, good lighting.
Yeah.
Like lights. Like when you're working on a car, invest in a light, like a good light, good lights. Like for you guys, detailing, obviously, PPF, like dent work, like lighting is everything. When you work on cars, try to teach all these newer guys when they're doing something like, where's your light? Like, get a light. When you can see what you're doing, it changes perspective and it helps so much. It sounds so small and stupid, but it's I think it's one of the best things.
One of the simple things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Core principles of how to, right? Even with, yeah, of course, detailing light is so important, and same with content creation. Lighting is so important.
Yeah.
So I haven't really explored much about learning more about lighting, but it's definitely something that is on the list, and I'm trying to kind of get a good understanding of the core principles, and that way you can kind of apply it to any situation that you need to. Do you have a specific brand of light or light?
Specific one that I use, I don't know. Mac Tools for me.
Yeah.
I'm a Mac Tools light guy, but honestly, just have a light.
Yeah.
That's my. If you work on a car, I have a light.
With some type of magnetic.
If you can. Sometimes it's tricky if you're working on expensive cars.
Yeah,
You don't want to get magnets too close. So I think having an array of stuff you can use.
Cool. What is an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you love?
Yeah, I didn't know how to answer this one. I think when I'm working on cars, I'm just meticulous about things. And for me, I don't know, maybe I see other people, I don't know if that's a little absurd. So for me, I like double check, triple check things just because I want to be 100%. And that's my weird thing to have attention to detail. Maybe it's not a weird thing, but it's just how I live.
Yeah.
How I live when I work on these cars. My attention to detail is top priority.
Yeah. We're trying to learn how to do that and incorporate that into our workflow for our team as well. It's really important because sometimes you have an off day and it's easy to kind of miss that, and having the discipline to stick with the process of, okay, no, regardless of how good I think or how well I think I just completed this service or this job, let me double check it and catch anything that I might have missed. So yeah, it's a fun question to kind of see a different side of you. I think if I were to add something on there for you, would be your oil spill artwork, right? Well, what was all the?
That was like
what inspired that?
Back in the day when just doing oil change and usually it hits the wrong way and it makes a mess on the floor. You could gripe and you can complain, and that's how that's the bad day part of it. But then you turn into something fun. I would just like take a picture and be like, this is my Jackson Pollock on the floor. This is turning something good.
Yeah,
something good.
Yeah, I fucking love that. I saw that. I'm like, man, Josh is my guy, yo. What are bad recommendations you hear in your profession or area of expertise?
This is a tough one. I think dealerships tend to catch a bad rep. Just sometimes across the board. Just labor times and things like that. But just with the way that we're progressing in the business, things take time, especially if there's issues, just to diagnose cars. And I think it's just, you just catch a bad rap there sometimes.
Yeah.
But there just needs to be patience from both sides. And sometimes working through problems just takes time, which also takes costs at time, especially when working on things like Porsches.
Yeah. It's to have both parties kind of understand what is involved in that, and kind of be more transparent of like, hey, these vehicles are very tricky, they're very expensive, so it's gonna take some time to do things the right way.
Yeah.
And you'd rather have it done the right way than go somewhere else and try to cheap out and then open a whole can of worms.
Yeah, that's why I think the majority of our clientele understand that they want it done right the first time, but they want it done well.
Cool. How has a failure or an apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
Yeah, I think when I was working on cars as an apprentice, I had jobs where I had to do a turbo on a Panamera, and I chose to kind of try different ways. I don't know, they suggested to get it out, and it just went awry. It just went so bad. And I ended up having to replace studs on turbos, which aren't fun to do. So that was just a giant learning experience for me. Just being young, kind of gung-ho on things. To take time and do things properly is something that is so key to me now. It's just in my day-to-day. A shortcut, sometimes you think will save you 5 minutes, ends up costing you 5 hours.
Yeah.
So sometimes things take time for a reason.
if you could have a gigantic billboard that would be seen by all mechanics and automotive technicians in the world, what would you put on it?
I guess this beat the what was that? Beat the nail. I can't even think of that right now. Just to reiterate, just double check your work. I think that's the key thing. Attention to detail. When you leave, if you leave like things loose or things not put back properly, it reflects poorly. You know, customers expect 100%, whether it's a Porsche or whether it's a Honda or Toyota. It doesn't matter. It's a job that you're kind of paid to do, and you know, have pride in that and pride in your work ethic and how you do that. So just be 100% on your work as best as possible.
Yeah, these cars are driving around people, driving around families.
Yeah.
So, you know, making sure that they are safe
Yeah.
and the work is done right is very important.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, and last one, in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
For me, it's that little kid that was born. Just spending time with family, friends that uplift you and just bring you joy, and just the things that bring you joy. So, yeah, I think that's what's kind of improved, definitely. Just prioritizing, yeah, putting things into perspective and putting things first.
Has your daughter Adelaide brought more meaning into your life?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I don't think you can't even put into words just the joy that she brings.
Yeah, no, I can tell that you're very family oriented. That is a big part of Asian culture, and I'm so happy to see you on your journey of being a dad. You know, teaching and being a role model for the next generation. And I think you are a wonderful role model, not only for the people under your wing, but you know, for ourselves as well. I think I learned a lot from this conversation, and I can't wait to continue building this relationship with you.
Thanks for the opportunity. I love what you guys are doing here, and we'll be around. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Josh. I hope you had a lot of fun. I certainly did. Are there any social media handles that you want to share with the audience in case they want to follow you, or you know?
I think I'm on Instagram at jwe5. That's me. I just work for Porsche Centre of Oakville, so it's always come by and you can check out some cars, and you know, if you want to purchase one, then we can set that up too.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions about your Porsche or curious about the brand, if you guys are in the Oakville area, just come by and ask for Josh, man. He'll more than be open to kind of helping you along and sharing this love for Porsche. But yeah, that wraps it up for the podcast today, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah,
Thanks, Josh.
see ya. Thanks, man.